Have I ever said
No,
that to you?
no.
Okay, don't
That
even
most people.
don't
Uh,
even go
I,
there.
I amend. I amend my motion.
I was gonna, I couldn't talk. It's like glass.
I appreciate it.
It's strong. It's like glass. My daughter has to
Okay, at 7:36, we are back in open session, and as a result of the action that was taken in open session, there will be a letter drafted on behalf of the board with me working with our attorneys, and we will send this letter out regarding the process that was taken in the current basketball coaching situation. Item number 3. Delegates, citizen and delegation, letter A, public comment, and we do have a couple of people signed up for public comment. Just a reminder of the rules regarding public comment. Policy 0167.3, the presiding officer shall be guided by the following rules. Public comment shall be permitted before the board takes official action on any issue of substance. Attendees must register their intention to comment in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. Comments made by the public shall be civil in content and tone, affirming the decorum established for a school board meeting by the school board. Disparaging comments, remarks about school board members, employees, students, positions, position titles, and/or district citizens shall not be made permitted. Comments by the public shall be in reference to a specific agenda item. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer, will be requested to preface their comments by an announcement of the name and group affiliation if and when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic unless all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. Participants shall address only topics within the legitimate jurisdiction of the board. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Requested any individual to leave the meeting when the person does not observe reasonable decorum. Request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when the person's conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Call for a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. The portion of the meeting during which the comment of the public is invited shall be limited to 60 minutes unless extended by a vote of the board. Reminder to the board members and the speakers, this is not a conversation between the board and the person speaking at the microphone. The person at the microphone will be allotted their 5 minutes to speak, which the time will be on the screen, and we move to the next person who has signed up to speak. Having said that, our first person to sign up is Mr. George Shenners. Thank you, Mr. Shenners. And you can identify what you are speaking upon.
This is number H, the Mirren Construction Management Agreement.
Thank you, sir. You may begin.
I don't really know what they're going to manage. We're going to have a new administrative office building, apparently. But what are we going to have as a new office building? Is it an unlimited budget? Who's designing it? Do we know what exactly we need to be included in this building? Can you share any of this information with us as the public? Because I'm getting nervous that we have millions and millions of dollars unallocated for our elementary school that could be borrowed for a project such as this, because but then I'm confused because I think the referendum said they're going to move the district office, but now we're going to apparently build a district office, and those two words don't mean the same thing to me. But there's so little information available. I'm hearing unofficially a huge dollar amount, unofficially. I won't even mention it because it's not blessed by the board. But if it's true, and it could be, because who's going to decide what is incorporated in this new district office building? That you're going to give Myron the responsibility to manage. Are they going to design it and build it? Construction management contract? Or are they going to manage on a bid basis like we did the elementary school, which came in at a very, very, very favorable price? Today I got information from the district that had the new elementary school costing as much as $46 million, and it came in at 30. My point is, how much of this windfall is going to be spent on our district office building? Please be a little more forthcoming with us as taxpayers. What does this all entail? I'm sorry. I've been involved in too many of these things over 50 years where we had school district, county, city, where we had open-ended construction management, design build contracts. When you go in, you better know what your budget is. I was told today there is no budget because it's in the design stage. I would certainly suggest you know how many dollars you're telling somebody designing this that you have to spend, or by golly, they'll spend you right into the 16 million bucks you got. I'm kidding you. But it could be a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Centers. And I did make note of those questions that you were asking, and I think some of those questions might be answered in the presentation point when we get to that number, that letter.
But
Yep.
we have to speak before we even get to H. This is not right.
Correct. Correct.
I'm sorry. I'm used to doing it at the county level. When H comes up, anybody that wants to speak on that item can speak then.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't follow the policies of the county.
I'm suggesting
Yeah.
maybe it would be better. And secondly, we had our closed sessions at the end of our agenda, not at the beginning.
Thank you, Mr. Centers.
Sorry. I had to say it.
Talk to me about closed session afterwards. I got something I want to talk to you about. Thank you. This next person to sign up is Pat McKenna. And what are you speaking toward?
Speaking toward the strategic planning,
Thank you, sir. You may go.
my name's Patrick McKay. I'm speaking as a citizen this evening. Speaking regarding just the strategic planning and in particular, just the nature of the tragedy of the way the process has been going in terms of addressing teacher concerns, addressing student concerns, in which we have a culture of punishment that the students have suffered from, particularly in relation to the basketball team this season. The students who are playing basketball did nothing. They weren't involved in any sort of action or discipline. However, when they've tried to voice their opinion about their coach, they were very quickly punished for that. They were instructed about the athletic code, that they could not wear shirts. They weren't allowed to wear these shirts that we're wearing this evening. They weren't even allowed to wear them inside out, just as black shirts. The boys didn't do anything wrong. The boys, trying to play basketball and trying to have a season that was already difficult to begin with in the sense that they didn't have a coach till the fall. When they got that coach, they really gelled. They had a great, connection, and then that was taken away from them. And I think when we're looking at the strategic planning and what we need to do, this is an opportunity where we need leadership that can admit sometimes we make mistakes, where leadership can say, you actually are a great coach, and yes, here's this consequence for this that fits the circumstance instead of being out of proportion with the circumstance. And at its root, just really lets down the boys and lets down the district. It lets down a teacher who's a really great person who maybe made a mistake and that should face consequences for it, but that are within proportion to what happened. So, as you look to the strategic plan, please think about the culture of our school district. I look at, retaining teachers, keeping excellent teachers here if we can do that. This should be hopefully a priority of our strategic planning and, so that we can maintain really excellent standards and help our students thrive. I hope, I appreciate the board's time in all of this. I hope all of you, if you haven't been to a basketball game this season, I hope you make it there. Maybe even reach out to the boys and, mention that you're a school board member and you appreciate, their efforts and just like the leadership of them working, on a day-to-day basis in a difficult circumstance. And it'd be great to see you all there. And I'd really like you all to consider just how we make decisions and how we can make a better culture here at the school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, moving to number 4, consent agenda. Letter A, approval of agenda, minutes, financial reports, overnight school activity trips, report of district new hires, district retirement and resignation report. I will be looking for a motion.
I move the board approve the agenda, Board of Education meeting minutes from December 15th, 2025, HR Finance Committee meeting minutes from January 12th, 2026, Policy Committee meeting minutes from January 13th, 2026, District Retirement and Resignation Report, report of district new hires, financial reports for December 2025 and January 2026, consideration of current bills, check number 9439 to 9514 in the amount of $268,179.04. ACH's number 252-600730-252-600876 in the amount of $720,797.11. And wire transfers in the amount of $20,826.78 for a total of $1,009,802.93.
Motion has been made by Abby. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I just want to make a comment that when I attended the Human Resources Committee meeting last week, I'm not on that committee, but I did ask the question about the current principals and if they had to reapply, and it's not in the minutes, so I just would like that added in.
I wanted to thank all the teachers, but particularly, Miss West and Miss Falk were my teachers. Miss West was my second grade gym teacher, so I just think it's cool, but it's sad that they're retiring.
I also want to say that we have one person retiring with 31 years and one person with 41 years. That's unheard of in the education world this year, so that is amazing. And I'll miss them.
Jill, go ahead.
I will also share my appreciation for the retirement. As noted, 20 years of service, 11 years of service, 31 years of service, 9 years of service, 41 years of service, and 33 and a half years of service, cumulatively totaling 145.5 years of dedicated service and commitment to our district. It is our sincere appreciation for your selflessness and dedication to the Yanego School District. And we appreciate that you have made a career here and have certainly earned a well-deserved retirement, so thank you for that. And obviously have touched many of us, if not all of us, in different ways, so thank you.
Thank you, Jill, and I believe that would be a statement from all of the board to all of those retirees. Are there any other discussions or questions? Dr. Bardo?
I have to abstain on check 252600862.
So noted.
I need to abstain from check 9467.
So noted. Any other questions or discussion of the motion on the floor? Hearing none, the voting device is now open. Make sure that your name is on the back of your device. And the vote is now open. Abby, one more time.
Yep, got it.
There we go. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Item number 5, administration reports. Letter A, discussion regarding the process for filling the vacant school board seat. You'll see there in the attachment, but you also have a printout that was at your seat when you came in. This is the process for which we fill vacant board seats, and I'm going to ask our Vice President if she will go over and read this process.
The vacancy shall be filled by the board using the following procedure. Appointment by the board to fill a vacancy shall be the members of the remaining board consistent with bylaw 0162, quorum and bylaw 0167.1 voting. All votes shall be recorded, preserved, and open to public inspection to the extent prescribed in Chapter 19 Wisconsin statutes. Secret ballots may only be used when the board members are electing officers. The board shall seek qualified and interested candidates from the community through the news media, word of mouth, and contacts with appropriate organizations. All applicants are to submit a notice of their interest in writing to the district office. The board may interview candidates to ascertain their qualifications. If the vacancy is not filled within 60 days of the date on which the vacancy first exists, the vacancy shall be filled by appointment of the board president. The appointee shall hold office until a successor is elected and takes office under 120.422. When a vacancy occurs in the office of a board member who is in the last year of his or her term, or when a vacancy occurs after the spring election, but on or before the last Tuesday in November, in the office of a board member who is not in the last year of his or her term, the successor shall be elected in the next spring election. When a vacancy occurs after the last Tuesday in November and on or before the date of the next spring election in the office of the board member who is not in the last year of his or her term, the successor shall be elected at the second following spring election. Elections to fill unexpired terms shall be held simultaneously with elections for regular terms.
So that is the process for filling the board vacancy. We have had to do this a couple of times. JD, you was one time. Yes, we have had to fill a vacancy on the board. And the process that we have done in the past is we will put a notice out to the community and let the community have a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's up to the discussion of the board, in which they can answer a couple of questions. And the question would be is, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve and for this year on the board until the spring election of 2027. Due to the fact of the candidates for this spring election of April, that time ended, Deanna, give me the date, January the 6th?
January the 2nd.
January the 6th was a cutoff for someone declaring their candidacy for this spring election. That is the reason that we could not put this seat on this election process for this year. And Scott's position, his seat was up term in 2027. So you will only be filling, whoever fills this position will only be filling 1 year term. So I'm open for discussion as to if we want to allow, I think, JD, when you and I was vying for a seat, it was a 2 or 3 week window of opportunity, and then the board met in a special meeting, just heard the interviews, we had questions that we would ask, and then that night, we actually voted and to fill that seat. It's my memory, it's like 8, 9 years ago.
Did they have set question for us? We weren't in the room. We were all,
We was in open session, yeah. They had questions for us, because I went first, and you was in a secluded location.
so assumably they gave us the same questions,
Yeah,
not just, we can't just ask questions.
they did, because I came first, and they asked you the same questions that night. And those questions came from board members. We actually made those questions up together as a team. This is after we came on the board. We made those questions up as a team, and then we would ask those questions to the candidates as they're coming in. Dr. Bartle?
Jill and I both went through the process, and it was
Correct.
done that way where it was open session. Each candidate was asked the same questions from the
Yep.
board, so no one gets different questions. And then when the final candidate is done, and the candidate can sit there and watch the other candidates till the end, and then the board does a vote. And you have to get a majority of the board to be, I think the night Jill and I did it, there were 3 votes taken before someone got the majority. But and then they eliminate people as
The lowest.
the law, correct.
Correct.
Are there any rules about, like, people that have put their name in for the board seat? Are there any rules that those people, can they apply?
Candidates that are currently running for the April election cannot apply for this open seat.
What if it's after the primary and somebody is,
Well, if we leave it open till after the primary, then it becomes after the 60 days of Scott's letter, and then I will fill that by appointment, and I don't want to fill the appointment. I want the board to do that.
all right, thank you.
Along the same lines, are people who file for non-candidacy eligible?
They are not eligible because they are currently seated as a board member until after the election.
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to get you another.
So the only two that would be ineligible, because they're currently seated, is JD and Catherine, because they filed non-candidacy. So normally I do not have my phone next to me because of just not being distracted, but I have my calendar up. If somebody wants to give some dates as to the length, do we want 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I do know that our vice president is going to be out of town for some time for some much-needed R&R, and we want to be able to involve her as well as all the rest of the board members. So what are thoughts here?
My opinion is 2 weeks.
2 weeks, so we would accept letters of interest for this position until February the 2nd, and those letters would be turned in to the district office to Mrs. Oginski.
Did we have a special meeting, or did we just?
We did have a special meeting just for that.
I think it's gone both ways.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
It's gone both ways.
I think you and I, it was a special meeting that, and then for Dave and Jill, I think it was during a regular
Yeah, I don't.
board meeting.
Do you want to decide now, or do you want to see how many applicants there are? Because if it's 2, it's one thing, but if there's 10, then it takes a lot longer.
Well, I just want to be cautious of that 60-day window, and if we wait until February the 16th, when we have our next board meeting, we're getting when is the 60 days up from the date of that letter that,
So that was January 7th.
yeah. So if we push it off into, what day would that be, Kristen? March 3rd?
March 6th, I think.
March 6th would be the 60-day window.
I would say to give 3 weeks, because I do believe if we put it in the paper, it wouldn't come out till Wednesday, Friday. It would not be tomorrow.
Earliest would
And
be
then We're already
Friday.
putting out a week before it's even in the paper, so I think 3 weeks would be better for that reason.
That's a great point, because I think prior to it was, that's when we had everyday paper.
Right.
So now the third week would be February the 9th, would be the cutoff day at the time of the closure of the office is 4 o'clock or 4:30? 4 o'clock. So we would have the notice that a person, individual who is interested would have until February the 9th at 4 o'clock to turn in their letter of interest. And the two statements is a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve on the board to fill this vacancy for the 1 year.
Will that also go to Anago Times?
The Daily Journal is our official publication. I can't say that it would go to the Anago Times
Okay, well,
because
I would suggest that it does, because I don't think everybody gets the Anago Journal anymore.
I think we can make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
You said February 9th at 4?
February the 9th at 4 p.m. Yes, ma'am. And we'll make sure that this gets published in the Daily Journal and the Anago Times.
And the website.
And it will be on the website, yes. I think Deanna is creating a page on the website that would be just dedicated to this one box of information. So then we have the date set when candidates can file for that open board seat. The next question that I have is, when could we meet and have the interviews? Because I think the persons that are interested, they also need to know the date of when the meeting would be.
10th or 12th would be my vote.
Not available on the 10th.
And you,
I would not be available either of those days.
I am-
can we look at the week of the 16th?
Well, trying to navigate different calendars and schedules right now. Are we
That person,
looking to piggyback on an existing meeting? Or we've not decided, I mean, like,
What about the 11th?
we could piggyback on the February the 16th meeting.
That's my vote.
I'm out the next year.
That person, whomever that person is that the board decides to vote to fill the seat, will also be taking their oath of office at that meeting as well. So they will become an official board member at that meeting, whatever day we set. Deanna will come prepared with the oath of office and will administer that night.
the 16th and 19th are not great for me, unless, but possibly can make it work.
Our normal meeting is the 16th.
Yeah, I'm going to a conference. the week
That
of
whole week?
16th.
Do we need a I don't know, is this work the same way as needing a quorum?
It does. All you need is a quorum, but the hopes and the anticipation is that we would have all 8 members of the board.
I could do the evening of the 18th. I'm gone Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Would the 18th, I know we try to stay away from the Wednesday evening meetings, but if Wednesday the 18th would work for everybody? Jill, JD,
I think so.
Catherine, Bobby, the 18th would work for you? You're looking, so I'll come back to you.
Yes.
Dr. Bardo, Abby, and it will work for me. I can make that work. What about a time?
Evening for me. I won't be back to
Board meeting time, 6:15?
It's Ash Wednesday. I don't know if that makes a difference. I can make it. I'm just stating that in case anyone. But the 18th would be fine for me.
Would 6:15 work for you?
I could do 5:15 even.
I definitely want that.
5:15? 5:15 work for everybody? Yes? Yes, yes. Deanna, we will have a special called board meeting on February the 18th at 5:15. And in the notice, you can also put that that will be the night that the candidates will be interviewed, and the board will make a decision and a selection on February the 18th. Thank you so much.
5:15?
5:15. 5:15. Thank you so much for walking through that and getting that process taken care of. Because of Scott, he is also our CISA 9 representative. Just to give the board notice, this week at the convention in Milwaukee. I'm going to be having a conversation with Al Betry. I did say his name right? With Al Betry. He is our CISA 9 chair, and he's going to let me know what the process is because Scott had a 3-year term that would end in 2027, August 2027. So he'll let me know what we need to do to fill that last year term of Scott on the CISA 9 board. So if any of you would be interested, their meetings are during the day. I just want to throw that out there. Let me know, and we'll see what comes up from there. All right, thank you so much. Moving on to letter B, Superintendent Report, update on the work of the superintendent for the month of January. Mrs. Oginski.
So first, I want to recognize Donna Krieger. She has been named the recipient of the 2025 International Society in Education, ITSE, Making It Happen Award. She was presented in partnership with the Wisconsin Educational Multimedia and Technology Association, which is also known as WIMTA. This prestigious honor recognizes educators who exemplify innovation, leadership, and a deep commitment to transforming teaching and learning through technology. As Wisconsin's premier educational technology organization, WIMTA proudly honors Donna for her unwavering dedication to making meaningful technology integration a reality for her district and the broader educational community. Throughout her career, Donna has demonstrated a genuine love of learning and relationship-centered approach to teaching, one that inspires, encourages, and nurtures both educators and students alike. Donna understands that empowering teachers is a cornerstone of successful technology integration. She consistently motivates others by increasing awareness, expanding access to information, and modeling thoughtful, purposeful use of technology. While she recognizes the need for continued change in education, she approaches that change with patience, vision, and an understanding that meaningful transformation is a process. Through her leadership, both in person and via social media, Donna shares resources, builds connections, and elevates the work of educators around her. Her influence extends well beyond her district, earning her recognition as the respected leader within Wisconsin's educational technology community and beyond. Donna truly embodies the spirit of Making It Happen Award, and it's a pretty prestigious award. She's going to be receiving a notable blazer that also will signify her, so she will be recognized in, I believe it's the Dells, for achieving this award. So there will be more to come on that. So it was something to be celebrated that I wanted to share. Next, Ms. Stutzring, Mrs. Gerke, and I attended PLCs to review benchmark results with teachers and to create plans of action to continue the important work around closing achievement gaps. Lots of great information is shared at these meetings, along with the creation of plans to better support student outcomes. There's lots of great conversation that happens, and it gives teachers an opportunity to work with their building leadership along with district administration to really dive into the areas that our students need more support in order to make sure that we're closing those achievement gaps to continue our growth with student outcomes. On December 22nd, Mrs. Fossbender and I presented to the county board on a range of topics related to our school district. It was a valuable opportunity to highlight the positive developments and results we're experiencing. The county board has scheduled their February 27 meeting to take place at John H. Bradley Elementary shortly after we plan to open the doors. In my report, the presentation is linked there if you would like to see what we shared with the county board. Next, Mr. Leiterman and I continue to participate weekly in construction meetings with Myron and Blue Design. Ms. Fossbender also joins us, our designer Sue also joins us, and Mrs. Mushak joins us from the perspective of all things regarding technology. This week was a little different. We were able to have the opportunity to take a tour of the building with regard to what was the safest areas that we could look at. And it was a little moving, I would say, at best. I had to stop talking to Jake because we got in there and we were looking around in the kitchen. And I looked at Jake and I said, did you ever think this was ever going to happen, Jake? And he said, no, I didn't know if we would ever get it to happen or not. And just seeing the building and knowing how important it's going to be for our staff and our students is very moving, and I'm very excited to see the kids' expressions when they enter the building for the first time. So on that note, there's an opportunity for the board to take a tour of the building if you would like. I will be sending communication to see if there's a time that all of you could go together at one time. They do have it very well heated. They've already started painting interior walls, so you don't freeze to death while you're in there. So, and it would only be in the areas that are safe, and you have to wear a hard hat and glasses and all of the safety equipment. So I'll be sending communication, and it would be a great opportunity for you all to at least get in there and see where things are currently, because it's a grand building. So, and then on January 13th, our Culture and Climate Committee met in the basement of Central Office. That work is being in alignment with the Donovan Group. Lori Miller helps to facilitate that. Our primary focus of the meeting on the 13th was to talk about creating and drafting a survey for staff to gather information and feedback. So there will be more to come on that. And then we had our regular monthly pupil services meeting Wednesday, January 14th. As that's also another one of the hats that I wear. So we meet, I meet monthly with all of our pupil services team, and we do all things regarding what things our staff need as far as our school counselors. We talk a little bit about scheduling. We talked mostly about Zello, and we got to see a presentation around Zello, which is all things academic and career planning. And there's conversation that we are looking to possibly extend that to the elementary as well, so that kids are getting started earlier on that. That's all. Oh, I do have one more thing. We have a special video for the board. If everyone could turn around and watch the screen as Nathan projects, it's National Board Appreciation. So another testament for Donna Krieger and how wonderful she is, and an asset to our district. She took time to create this special video.
In January, we celebrate School Board Appreciation Month.
The students across the Antigo district want to recognize the hard work and dedication of our school board members by saying,
Gracias. Thank you.
thank you for serving our school,
Thank you for making important decisions.
about our classrooms and our future. Thank you for working to make our school safe, supportive.
And places where students can succeed.
Thank you for supporting our teachers, our principals,
Our support staff.
and everyone who helps us learn and grow.
Thank you for supporting our community.
Leading with purpose, attending meetings, studying policies, and working behind the scenes. Thank you for encouraging excellence
In academics.
And in character.
Thank you for believing in us, our dreams,
Our potential.
and what's best for students. Thank you for making our district strong.
And our school something to be proud of.
Your decisions impact students every day.
And students for years to come.
Thank you for believing in education.
Across all of the Antigo School District.
So thank you for all you do.
Well, it's an honor to serve on the school board, and believe me, I hate to see JD hanging up his hat after serving with distinction, and we'll say more about him later, as well as Catherine with serving as the much-needed distinction that both of these school board members have served. But we look forward to a bright future. So thank you so much. Okay, moving on to item 6, board action. Letter A, consideration to approve All Saints 4K contract. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the 26-27 4K All Saints contract for the same tuition compensation, $1,963.02 as the 25-26 school year.
Motion has been made by Catherine. Would you like to speak to your motion, please?
I will defer to Ms. Stutzry.
So this was brought to the HR Finance Committee due to the financial impact that it has on the district. I spoke with Mr. Galuska. We brought both of the proposed motions to the committee. When I spoke to Mr. Galuska, he talked about the increase of tuition that they are getting at All Saints. They increase usually every year. We don't get that increase at the school district from the state, and I can let Ms. Fossbender speak more on that. We brought the proposal of either staying the same or increasing it to the increase that All Saints is asking for. If you want to know more about the financial, I'll pass it to Ms. Fossbender.
Are there any questions to Ms. Stutstream or Ms. Fossbender? Jill?
I don't have a question, but I do think it's valuable for Ms. Fossbender to come up and speak because there's a lot of questions amongst the community each year on this, and I think it just covers our bases to review and share out.
Thank you, Jill. Ms. Fossbender?
Is this on?
Yes.
For 4K, that is not the typical 1 FTE. How it's calculated in our state financial formula, that's 0.6. So when we are calculating how much money we get per student that is here on Third Friday count, you only get 0.6 of what that is for the state. And when you're talking about increases from year to year, that's $325 per student, and you get 0.6 of that. So it's not an even percentage, which I think is what All Saints is calculating their rationale using.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Fossbender? Any other questions regarding the motion on the floor? Hearing no questions, the voting device is now open to approve the 26-27 4K All Saints contract for the same tuition compensation for the 25-26 school year. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And we have, the motion carries with one abstaining from the motion. Letter B, consideration to approve the Antigo Area Youth Hockey Association and USDA agreement. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the Antigo Area Youth Hockey Association and the Unified School District of Antigo agreement in the amount of $13,000 for the use of the multi-purpose building for hockey for the 2026-27 season.
Motion has been made by Dr. Bardo. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Jake, this was the amount from last year. It's still the same, correct? Yeah. So this is what we paid last year. This is basically for all our kids that are on the ice, and it's the same price, so I'm for it.
Are there any questions or discussion of the motion on the floor? Yes, Kristen?
Is that the full amount, or does Blue Line contribute? Blue Line does not contribute.
No, this is the full amount.
From the district. Any other questions of the motion on the floor? Hearing no questions, the voting device is now open to approve the contract with Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Letter C, consideration to approve the agreement between the Anago Dugout Club and the Unified School District of Anago. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the agreement between the Anago Dugout Club and the Unified School District of Anago for the use of the Kretz Brothers Memorial Park in 2026.
Motion has been made by Abby. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No, but Jake did say some things about, that they are taking care of the fields this year for a really great price, so. Right,
Jake or
Yeah,
Mr. Schofield?
clarify
yeah,
for us.
clarify, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
One of you can come up and clarify and tell the reason for this somewhat of a change.
So the contract did go up this year from 1,400 to 4,000. The bulk of that is two things. They always had a porta potty that they need down there that we would then get billed for. And really, it just got more paperwork and headache trying to transfer it through from getting it ordered, getting the billing, getting the payment. They said, why don't we just, I mean, it's the same price every year, why don't we just add that in, we'll take care of it, then the district doesn't have to even call and worry about when to get it there and when to call it off and have the billing get passed through, we'll just include it in the rent. So it makes things a lot easier, doesn't cost us any more money at the end of the day. Second part is the lawn mowing. We always would take our equipment there and mow the outfield. I talked with my groundskeeper, and that is at a minimum 60 times a year that he would have to go do that. So I think that portion is roughly $2,000 that we don't have to go and do that. That's money savings for us. On the flip side, they can take that $2,000. They're purchasing a robotic mower. It will mow it every single day. It does a very nice job for the field. The field would stay in better condition. It's really a win-win across the board, both financially and end product. So it's a great example of how our community can find solutions and work together.
Are there any questions for Mr. Leideman as he's at the mic? Nope. Thank you. Are there any other questions of the motion on the floor? Hearing no questions, your voting device is now open. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Letter D, consideration to approve the agreement for ballpark use between the City of Antigo and the Unified School District of Antigo. I will be looking for a motion.
I move the board to approve the agreement between the City of Antigo and the Unified School District of Antigo for the use of the ballparks outlined in the agreement in 2026.
Motion has been made by Bobby. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I do not.
Are there any questions of the motion on the floor?
Tom, at the committee meeting, you said there were some changes, so because of junior high sports. So you talk to the board about that.
Thank you, Mr. Schofield.
We were able to add a middle school softball and middle school baseball team, which obviously will be having to use more of our fields. And with this agreement, we added back into the agreement, adding Saratoga North and Saratoga South fields, because we will be utilizing that for our middle school softball team. And the Lake Park and Al Remington remain the same. However, I know that working with the Anago Dugout Club, they are transitioning to majors and minors now playing at Lake Park and at Al Remington. In the past, it was Saratoga minors and then at Little League for the majors. But since they're moving to a 50-70 intermediate, they moved the majors are now going to be playing at Lake Park. So the reason why that has to deal with this ballpark agreement, though, if you can look at letter 3, in the past we got off of the Al Remington Little League at a certain amount of time on Mondays and Wednesdays to help with Little League because they are on those fields at that time, and I work with Sarah Rep on the scheduling, make sure we don't do any makeup games on those days. And we have to do that with the same with Lake Park, as now that is also going to be utilized by them as well. But the amount stays the same as last time, and all of the field work and stuff that we did last year stays the same, so.
Are there any questions for Mr. Schofield as he's at the microphone?
Thank you for clarifying.
No problem.
Location too.
Wait a minute, Mr. Schofield.
No,
Jill?
just a compliment. Thank
Okay.
you for also expanding to the middle school for baseball and softball. That's huge. It's very exciting. It's great for our kids. So there's work on the back end with that. So thank you and the coaches for that.
Mr. Schofield, also thank your secretary, administrative assistant, Beth, because she does a lot of behind-the-scenes work with scheduling, not only for athletics, but building facilities-wise. And then Sarah Rep, I'm sure that it's a monumental task. So thank your staff that's also working with you on all of these projects.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of the motion on the floor? Hearing no questions, the voting device is now open. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Letter E, consideration to approve the strategic plan. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the 2025 through 2028 USDA strategic plan as presented.
Motion has been made by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
The board met, Donovan Group facilitated the meetings, they were posted, and there was a lot of work that went into the strategic plan. When I initially ran for the board, this was something that was really important to me to help drive the board in decision-making and help bridge accountability and transparency. So why questions can be referred to a strategic plan that would outline where the district is headed and why. So I'm speaking to this to simply share the excitement to have a strategic plan for our district to help drive our decision-making at a board level and then also from an administrative level of what to bring to the board and focus our priority areas. We've done a lot of really great things with a lot of wonderful outcomes, and this is going to be just significant in helping continue with that progress and momentum.
Thank you, Jill. Any other questions or discussion of the motion that is on the floor?
I'd also note that I think all or nearly all board members participated over the course of 2 days?
2 meetings, yes.
And then administration as well.
Bobby?
And Neboken, yes.
Oh, yes, yep, we met at Neboken. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, the voting device is now open. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. The motion carries. I will say now that this has been voted and approved, the strategic plan is the mission driven by purpose, guided by integrity, defined by success. Our vision is to build a proud Antigo community. Our motto is, don't talk about it, be about it. And the priorities, there are 4 pillars, 4 priorities. Number 1 is student achievement and success. And I can't say this enough about our current administration, how our district has gone from the very bottom of the state to now in the mid-range of all of the districts across the state. So we are seeing much student achievement. And so I want to thank our administration and all of our staff, and most importantly, our students who are putting in the effort to make that happen and see the results of that. I'm sure that we're going to hear some comments this week at the state convention. Priority number 2 is community engagement. Priority number 3 is physical and financial planning. And priority 4 is cultivating talent and investing in our people. That attachment is on the board agenda. I would encourage you to read it and read all of the other information that is about our strategic plan. I concur with Jill. Now that gives motivation, it gives parameters and boundaries for our administration to work toward for building and fulfilling that strategic plan. Thank you. Letter F, consideration to approve the school start date exemption for 2026-2027 school year. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the exemption to start school before September 1st, 2026 for the 2026-2027 school year.
Motion has been made by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
This was talked about when voted on in the December Board of Ed meeting for the school calendar. It was mentioned that it would have to come back to vote on the exemption, and so that's what we're doing now.
You have as an attachment and public content of the exemption, the School Board Resolution 001-2026. It's there for you to read. It's there for the public to read. This is all public knowledge. Are there any questions or discussion? Yes,
So
Abby?
the deadline was January 1st. Are we able to submit it late?
We are, Mrs. Ojenski, go ahead.
Yes, so we had put a message out to DPI well before Christmas break, and no one got back to us until the day before, and there wasn't enough time to convene a board meeting, and they directed us to go ahead and submit the information, and then they would let us know. So worst case scenario, because it's set for, our school calendar is set for the 31st, then we may just have to come back before the board and request to change one day in the school calendar and start on the 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Any other questions or discussion of the motion on the floor? Hearing none, the voting device is now open. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Letter G, consideration to approve the creation of associate principal position at John H. Bradley Elementary. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the position of an associate principal at John H. Bradley Elementary for the 26-27 school year.
Motion has been made by Abby. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No.
Are there any questions of the motion on the floor? Mrs. Ojenski is ready to answer.
At our human resource meeting, basically what this is doing is that we, at the new school, will have one principal, an associate principal, and a dean of students. The dean of students will be in charge of mostly getting kids to school and truancy and those kind of things. The associate principal is a person who has an administrative degree and will help the principal with whatever duties are given to that person.
Thank you, Dr. Bardo. Any other questions or discussion of the motion on the floor? Okay, hearing none, the voting device is now open. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Letter H, consideration to approve Myron as the CM for new district office. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve Myron as the CM for the new district office.
Motion has been made by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I think Jake will speak more fluently on perhaps questions and the fiscal impacts of utilizing Myron, who's on site currently in all the work, so I'm going to defer it to him.
Thank you. Mr. Leideman?
Yeah, so just to kind of set the stage on where we're at, excuse me, before the, we signed on with Blue Design Group to be our architect. We did not choose to go down the construction management route at all, pre-referendum, during the referendum, post-referendum. We didn't believe in that model, so we're not going to change that theory. We are still contracted with Blue Design for any work that we want them to do as it relates to the referendum passage. So, for example, with the elementary portion, they designed the building, with administration. They got budgeting through construction companies that were not contracted, helped us settle in on a design, put the bid packs out, and then we got general contractors such as Myron to bid a full number price to construct that building that Blue Design and administration designed together. When you look at, as Mr. Schinner's pointed out, that process has proven to be very favorable for the owner. That's what we want. That's what we talked about pre-referendum. That's why we only interviewed architects and went that route. The board directed us to do that. That is what we've done, and it has paid off. We're going to stay doing that. Where we bring Myron in on a construction management for central office is when we look at the close proximity of location of the construction sites and the schedule and timing in which they need to work cohesively. So the standalone building will be very close to John H. Bradley structure. The parking lot, driveways will tie together, site lighting will tie together, wastewater would tie together, utilities can tie together, elevations, dirt work. They all tie together physically, but then also from a scheduling standpoint. So when we started looking at this with Blue Design and thought that this would be the best location for it, we then had the conversation of, well, are we going to stay the way we did with elementary and ask for general contractors to put a full in number on this? Or do we want to talk to Myron about what benefits they could bring and how that would look if we brought them on and said, hey, you're going to be the construction manager for this project because you're already on site, you don't have mobilization, you have the project management team, you have the equipment, we're using similar, the exact materials in some cases, but similar materials. Would that provide some efficiencies versus putting it out for a bid one number to another contractor and then having two general contractors that now have two separate scopes merging together in both physical location and scheduling location. So there's a lot of upside to that. Now, how that relates to making sure that we do keep the best interest financially and get the best opportunities for, say, our local contractors to be able to bid this, keeping a design that is very simple, both for economic benefit, but also the opportunity for some of our smaller contractors to have an opportunity to do this. All of the design and spec book and bid process will all be through Blue Design. So let me kind of recap that. With the elementary school, a Myron or a Bolt, big construction, they would go out to their subs, compile all the subs numbers, then they would give us one number. So Myron would say, it's gonna cost us X, Bolt would say, this is our price, is Y, and we'd look at them just at that high level. We could break it down to some subs, and we do in qualifying those bids, but it's the general's job to get all the numbers that compile their overall construction cost. In this case, we want to bring Myron on for their oversight of the job to make sure that physically it seamlessly goes together and schedule-wise it goes together. Also taking advantage of any efficiencies that we can do with their equipment on site. The same project manager will be in charge of it, the same on-site superintendent, same, probably some of the same workers for anything that Myron would perform. They would have the ability to save us costs there. Any subcontractor, including Myron, so say the flat work for concrete, we have local contractors that can do that, but Myron also self-performs that. Those all have to be bid out. So just because we are gonna enter construction management with Myron, they don't get any of the construction work as a guarantee with that. They have to bid that work to Blue Design. Administration will be there at bid day, open those bids with Blue Design, and we will see a number from everyone who wants to bid, and then we choose. That's a little different than how the elementary was, because Myron kind of had that paperwork, legwork, if you will, of sorting through all the subs and whatnot, so it's gonna put more work on Blue Design and Glenda and I to make sure that we go through that. But it's really gonna ensure that our local contractors get as good of an opportunity to be able to get this work and ensure that we get the best prices out there. So it's not a give them the free rein, here's the job, we have no scope, no spec, you're just gonna do it. That's not the case. We're just bringing them on early enough to make sure that we can get the timeline done and we can get the physical sites tied together the best way. One example of making sure that we get the best product and the most cost effectiveness is the electrical service for central office. We are gonna tie the electrical service to the elementary building. By doing that, it is gonna be overall cheaper cost, because we don't have to added cost of another utility service that we have to deal with the utility contractor from. But also, we don't have to add a generator, we'll have generator backup power because there's enough there to handle that. It's gonna be cheaper for us and more efficient, but when you look at a separate say Bolt were to get this project and then Myron has the elementary already, the coordination that it would take can happen, but it's a lot more seamless to have one general contractor to say, no, these two projects have to be together. We're going to work together on them. We're gonna work through this, and it's gonna be much easier from a scheduling stance to ensure that we can get this built as soon as possible. If we go further down a time frame and we add time to that end date, then that could add cost. Every year, construction goes up about 4%. So we want to make sure that we get this done as efficiently as possible. So fully bid, full numbers, all transparency. It's actually going to make it a better opportunity for our local contractors. And it's not guaranteeing Myron anything other than the oversight of the project to make sure that it goes seamlessly. As far as what that cost looks like, they agreed to do the construction management for the same percentage as what they're doing the construction management on the elementary for, and that's 4%. So on $1 million, that's $40,000. So we're not talking about guaranteeing them any huge money. I'm not saying that the estimate is $1 million. I want to be clear with that. I'm just saying for every million, it would be 40,000. We're working through the design. Myron is helping us budget that with their estimating department to say, hey, these are some design features that you should consider or go through, or here's this type of roof design or that type of wall design and the different costs. And we're trying to drive this cost down as economical as possible with still getting the best quality. Much like we did at the elementary school, we didn't sacrifice quality, but the way that we structured it, we're getting very, very favorable pricing. So, I don't know, been talking a while. I guess, do you got any questions or thoughts or?
Jill, do you have any questions? Because you invited Mr. Leideman to the podium, so I'll start with you first.
No questions. I appreciate your summary to share the bigger picture areas and then the smaller things that would typically be overlooked by those of us not in that construction world. So thank you for that.
All right, are there any other, JD, go ahead.
It just seems like in the public, I think people would agree with you that it's much more efficient to do it this way. Or mostly, the more the question is, did the referendum question authorize us to build it? So the text says improvements for the relocation of the district offices. So I mean, I don't know, building a new one is an improvement. I assume we asked Quarles and Brady and they said yes. I mean, I guess we all, what we say is, geez, we didn't expect to have this much extra money around, so you didn't make a big deal about trying to get a whole new central office. But now that you can, you're doing it, it's an improvement.
Yeah, and truly, when we explained what the referendum was gonna be, and when we sat down with Quarles and Brady and told them what our vision needed to be so that they could understand what our intent was, and then write the wording to match that, The central office, as we shared with the whole community, is the, kind of the last piece of this. It wasn't the focus, it wasn't the intent of this referendum by any means. Although, being responsible, everyone agrees that something has to change with central office, because the current building is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. So that, our explanation to that, to taxpayers during our presentations and the conversations with Quarles and Brady were exactly that, and the fact that we don't know what central office is gonna look like. It could be remodeled portion of an existing structure, it could be an, added on portion to an existing structure. It could be within John Bradley as new construction, it could be a standalone. We didn't know, because, again, the overarching statement was, that's kind of the last piece of this. We need to take care of the kids first, but we also do need to be responsible with tax dollars and make good, smart decisions, and that central office is not a good, smart decision. So it is covered. We covered it on the front end when we wrote the question, and we rehashed that conversation with Quarles and Brady, saying, okay, here's where we're sitting. These are our options. These are our thoughts. Is this 100% legal and acceptable per how the question was asked? And they said absolutely.
Quarles and Brady is a big law firm. Their whole thing is to write these bond requests for most of the school districts in the state. So they should be right that an improvement is a new,
Absolutely.
building a new thing is an improvement. It's not.
Danny,
Dr. Bardo?
if JD's done. Okay. Jake, just as a reminder for the board and for the community, what was the amount of money that we asked for that was passed?
54 million.
What was, when we went to that referendum, what was our expectation of the cost of the Bradley Elementary?
Just the construction, not including any like furniture, playground. There's some soft costs that add into that, but just the construction in which we got a bid for was 42 million. 42.6 million was the budget number.
Okay, so that was our expectation of that 54. We know that any money that's within that referendum that we got the people to vote for can only be spent on things that are mentioned in what the language was in the referendum. So all monies have to be spent. It's not like we can give refunds. I've done projects. It is what it is.
I can't answer that.
Okay,
I'm not a financial
but
advisor. I don't
the
know
other
how that
one I
works.
want to throw at you is, okay, it was 42.6. What did it come in at?
Just a shy bit over 30 million,
Yes.
like 30.1.
And so we got a great deal by using the way we set it up, meaning you and the administration. And so we saved 12.6 there, but we have to spend it. That's a guarantee. So that's money that's left over for to do other things for the high school that we didn't plan on, things for the middle school we didn't plan on, and this new building.
Right, and we are fully designing the stuff at the high school and the stuff at the middle school, and it's all of our deferred maintenance. If you remember back, we discussed a $61 million option that would cover all of our deferred maintenance. All of that work is now gonna be done. We already put the bid package out for the HVAC equipment at the high school and the middle school. Within the next month, the bid packs are gonna be ready for the work at the middle school and the high school. The middle school is going to have a general contractor, construction management, whatever term you guys are comfortable with, to run that project just from the complexities of the scheduling and phasing when you look at operating school, and then also trying to get this work done either throughout the summer or in the evenings. But then the high school is just gonna be straight to like a mechanical contractor, because the bulk of this work is HVAC upgrade. That's fairly easy. I can get that scheduled myself, and then the exterior work here is all the hardscape, which again, we'll go right to contractors for that. So we're gonna get all these numbers together. We're trying to sync them all so that we get all the bids for all the work coming in at the same time, so that we can ensure that we get all of our deferred maintenance covered before we fully commit to this, whatever the central office comes in at, so.
Thanks, Jake.
Abby?
Yep, you're going to have to help me because I've never done this before. But I want to amend the motion.
Okay.
Make a change to the motion. So do I just say what I want it to say?
Say what you would like to amend it to, and we'll help you.
I would like it to amend it to, I move to refer this motion back to committees, specifically the Buildings and Grounds. I feel that it was, the Resources and Finance Committee was not the proper committee for this to go to.
Okay, so what you're wanting to do is commit or refer it back to committee. That's not actually it's not an amendment to the motion. You are throwing on the table, and that is legal, to commit or refer back to committee. And now, for us to commit or refer it back to committee, it is amendable, it is debatable. So now, at this time, the motion or the discussion on the floor is to commit this motion back to committee, the Building Grounds Committee. Are there any questions about this motion to refer back to committee, or are there any discussion? JD?
I'm going to hope that this relates to this question and not the previous question. Let's say we get this central office bid and we get.
That relates to the previous question. Hold that question.
Okay, so if we defer this and it takes too long and then we miss our windows, then we lose our cost savings.
Now you're on the right track.
Not ideal, but that's, okay.
Any delay in the construction world is a
Huge.
potential to cost more money.
Bobby?
I just would like to ask Abby to clarify why you feel it needs to go back to Building and Grounds and why it didn't belong as a financial
I
matter.
feel like it's building a new school, and we've had one Buildings and Grounds meeting since the start of the school year, and I just feel like we're building a school. Jake is the Buildings and Grounds person, leadership, and he's the one talking about it. It just seems that that is where it should be. Cut and dry here.
Any other questions, Jill?
I do appreciate further explanation for that. And I have picked up on a pattern, and reasonably so, that when we send things, like this would be a good example if it were to go to Building and Grounds, ultimately, the context of the discussion centers on finances. And so then it ends up going to Finance HR, and a good example of that would be the All Saints contract earlier. That notoriously went to C&I committee, but then would get rerouted. We'd do this process and get to the full board and get rerouted back to finance, because ultimately it comes down to dollars. And that's the primary role, is being fiscally responsible. So I do very much respect and understand where you're coming from with that thought process entirely, and I think that's a fair question. I won't vote in favor of it simply for time is money, right, in that pattern.
To
Any
that
other-
point, I feel that anything could be financial then. Like, why even have any other committees if everything could be financial?
Any other questions of the motion on the floor?
There was for a while, we only had a committee of the whole, so then it kind of was.
I came to talk about it, and I had to speak in public comment, which is fine, but I just feel like as a board member, when we're building a school and that's my committee, it should go through us.
Is there any other discussion of the motion on the floor? Okay, just so everybody is clear on what you're voting upon, you're voting upon the commitment to, or referring this back to the to the Building and Grounds Committee. Just so everybody knows, I'm using a little cheat sheet up here to know where I'm going with Robert's rules. I'm not hiding anything. So you're voting on referring this back to the Building and Grounds Committee. Does everybody understand what you're voting on? All right. The voting device is now open. If you are in favor of referring this back to HR Committee, to Building and Grounds Committee, yes. If you're not in favor, it is no. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion fails. We are back to the main motion on the floor. I move to approve Myron as the CM for the new district office. Any other discussion of that motion on the floor?
I want to go back to Dave's point. Let's say we get all the deferred maintenance done and we have enough money to build a central office and we have $2 million left over. Can we give that back to the taxpayers? Did we already issue all the bonds? Is there a prepayment penalty? Or do you got to look that up, which I wouldn't blame you for. It probably doesn't happen very often, but.
I would not answer that. I would leave that to our financial advisors who are the leads of that, so.
You should, I mean, maybe it probably won't be an issue, because I'm sure Jake has so much deferred maintenance, but I just don't want the taxpayers to feel like we're wasting money. You know, so if we end up with too much because we did a good job, you know, if we give it back, we should lower our taxes, right? That seems like, you should just check, just in case it happens, but. Did we borrow the money, though? We issued some bonds, so we borrowed a certain percentage of it, right? So we could just, we could borrow less if you knew the final cost.
Dr. Bardo?
Well, when you do a referendum and you get the money, you can't give it back. And we, as a board and the administration, have to spend it for those things that were mentioned in the referendum. So we can't even take that money and put it in Fund 46 to use it 5 years from now. We have to spend it. And the administration and Jake, as part of that, and Mrs. Oginski, they're going to have to come up with things in all our buildings, every building.
But that's how we get more vague. So does a related site improvement, is that a football field?
No, that wasn't in the,
It just says related site improvement. It's right on the context. It's.
Are we getting, I guess I'm getting lost in this. Go ahead, Chris.
Kristen?
Was it ever considered to put it into the new building?
Yes.
Central office? And why did we choose not to do that?
So we spoke with the architects about that, and we were advised that it would be much more economical to build a standalone building because you would be required to have to build another firewall, which is very costly, and they just told us we would be better off to not do that.
Thank you.
I just offered the,
I'm sorry. It also, the type of building code that it falls into is very specific on occupancy and things of that nature. So when you look at the square footage that we would need for a central office, it falls into a much less complex, less per square foot type construction than if we attached it to the existing, or the being constructed elementary building. Because it's attached, yes, a firewall, but that also just in general adds to the level of construction code that you have to follow for that square footage, so it drives the per square footage price up. So standalone building will be cheaper square footage than an attached.
So that would be true as if we put it in the middle school and the high school as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion of the question of the motion that's on the floor? Jill?
central office was included in the entire campaign. I spoke on this last
Yes.
time as well. So that's not lack of transparency. That was on the ballot, language, discussions, and community outreach. And I would offer the thought, and I'm sure I'll get criticized on social media for this, but I would offer the thought of shifting the thinking and the thought process to the celebrations around the fact that, number one, this board decided to go with the middle number based on very credible estimates for overall costs, because we have had a 10-year capital improvement needs list that has just expanded beyond fathom. and we are tackling all of those items at the middle level. We could have been having this discussion if the board went and the community supported the higher level referendum and had more money, so to speak, to have to find something to do with. We are at a point where we can celebrate that we are tackling capital improvements. The improvements to our middle school and high school buildings are finally being done. This isn't something we approve as a board to say, it'd be great if we could fix the pavement outside, fix the windows. We are doing that. We are upgrading. We are investing in our community. And we are providing an administrative building that, without question, is a need too. That there wasn't a lack of transparency that was talked about, but the administration and this board did not focus on what is the administrative building going to look like because we want a shiny new place for our admin team. They selflessly focused on, we need this for our youngest learners and we need this building. So I would offer the recommendation or the thought to shift the mindset that it's hiding or not transparent to look what we've been able to do as a community and look forward to what it will provide our students, our staff, and our families moving forward.
Thank you, Jill. Very well said. Okay, the voting device is now open for the motion on the floor to approve Myron as the CM for the new district office. Would anyone like to change their vote? Vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Letter I, consideration to approve the first reading of the Neola Policies, Volume 34, Number 2. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the first reading of the Neola Policies, Volume 34, Number 2.
Motion has been made by Kristen. Would you like to speak to your motion?
We went through them at committee, line by line, with the attorney present, or Neola representative present, and they're ready to go.
Are there any questions of the motion on the floor? This is the first reading, so it will come back next month for a second reading before this becomes policy. Abby?
Yep, I am not in agreement with 144.5 board member behavior.
What is your suggestion to change that?
So the suggestion is, no, it wasn't my suggestion. Was that your question? The suggested is conduct by board members that compromises the reputation or legal position. And reputation is the word that is added. And I just feel like that's really vague, and who's going to be judging if you're hurting the reputation of
Can you say one more time which policy you're looking at?
144.5. I don't like the added compromises the reputation. I just feel like anyone could say, oh, you're compromising it, and who's going to be the judge and jury on that?
So do you want to amend policy number 0144.5 to strike reputation or?
Correct, thank you.
So the amendment that's on the floor is to, we need to vote on, take care of this first before we move forward with the first reading. The amendment is to strike in policy number 0144.5, reputation or. Any discussion of amending that policy to strike the words reputation or? Hearing no discussion in removing the reputation or, the voting device is now open. If you are in favor.
Sorry, in favor of removing?
In favor of removing is yes. If you are against removing, your answer will be no.
Sorry.
Wait. I hit the wrong one. I'm sorry. How do I change it?
You just push the other one.
Just push the other one.
Okay?
Okay, would anyone like to change their vote?
Not now.
Not now. All right, the vote is now closed.
Getting better.
So the motion fails. We are back to the main motion on the floor of approving for first reading the Neola Policy, Volume 34, Number 2. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am, Jill?
I don't know if this fits. If there's other questions or amendments, maybe a slight pause to consider before the vote. I just feel bad.
Okay.
Also that there is a second reading of all
Yes.
of these policies, so if any board member hadn't done that already, they could still look through drafts.
Correct. Any other questions of the first reading of the Neola Policies, Volume 34, Number 2? It will come back next month for a second reading before it becomes policy. All right, hearing no questions or discussion, the voting device is now open. Would anyone like to change their vote?
So technically Abby could make the same motion.
Well, we cannot talk about that while a vote is going on. I'm sorry. You can. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And the motion carries with 1 no. Yes, you can bring that back next month. Letter J, consideration to approve the report of donations. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the following donations. Anago Swim Club, $100 toward the timing system. Tim and Rose Prunty, $200 for the school forest. Elsa McKenna, $500 for Aquatic Center. Jack Philbrandt Memorial Fund, $250 for the school forest.
Motion has been made by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Our community is very supportive in giving. Thank you for your generosity to all of the donors for the various clubs that their donations are going towards.
Thank you. Yes, we do have a very supportive community. Are there any other questions or discussion? All in favor of receiving these considerations of donations, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by receiving these donations, let it be known by saying aye. Then the motion carries. Before we adjourn, I just want to, one more time, February the 9th is the cutoff day at 4 o'clock for the letter of interest for the open board seat for the Anago School District. And then we will have a special meeting on February the 18th at 5:15 to interview those candidates. And we will elect somebody to fill that seat on that night of February the 18th. Next board meeting of education will be on February the 16th, 2026. I will be looking for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you.
All in favor of adjournment, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed of adjourning, let it be known by saying aye. And the motion carries. We are now adjourned. Everybody be safe going home.